What's going on YouTube, and welcome back to the channel, The Matrix of Gradelock. Today we have the profile of four white cards. This deck I took recently to PAX Unplugged for the Energon Invitational event, and I came in 21st place. So overall, the event was fun. I had a great time. Me and my teammates, we all had a great time. I walked away with prize money, which was great. So basically, in the first round, I faced against Jetfire. I won 2-0. Second round was Orange Insecticons. I won 2-0. And then the third, fourth, and fifth round, that was the sealed event, and I didn't do so well. My pulls were so bad. So I got my first loss in round 3. I got 2-0'd, and then my second loss was in round 4. I got 2-0'd. So no, I got 2-1. But then in my third round in the seal, I actually made a comeback. I 2-0'd my opponent. I was like, all right, great. I'm not X-2. I have to make sure I go undefeated throughout the whole way to even come close to top 8. So after that, round 6, I faced against Aerobots. Aerobots, I 2-0'd them, especially with my side deck. 7th round, I faced against Shockwave. I 2-0'd it. I didn't even have to side deck, which was actually pretty cool. And then my 8th round, I faced against Jetfire, and I believe it was General Optimus Prime. I 2-0'd him. And then my last round, I faced against General Optimus Prime with Prowl and Ironhide from the Combiners. And it was a pure orange build. Honestly, that was my worst matchup. I was like, I'm good unless I face against a pure orange build that can hit for big numbers. Of course, with General Optimus Prime giving Ironhide and Prowl bold 1, and then they both already have bold 1, so they have bold 2 at the moment. So every single time he attacked me, he one-shotted my characters, especially if he had Grenade Launcher or Supercharge, which obviously he just kept one-shotting my characters easily. But the guy that I lost to in the last round, he actually made top 8. Also, the guy who I lost to in the sealed event in round 4, he also made top 8, which was great. So again, overall, no, I'm really happy that I had a chance to enter this event. I came in 24th place. I walked away with $250, which is pretty cool. And yeah, but this is my deck profile of 4 white cards. I'm gonna break everything down for you guys, explain my reasons why, and hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Please remember to comment, like, subscribe if you guys haven't subscribed yet to the channel. I do recommend to subscribe for more videos. But without further ado, let's get on to the deck profile. Now for character cards, of course, we're playing Cliffjumper, Prowl, Red Alert, and RC. This is exactly 25 stars. The attack order that I always do is either Prowl, Red Alert, then RC or Cliffjumper. Mainly, if I played against orange decks, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, or if I face against any blue decks, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4. That would usually be my attack order. It worked out perfectly, just for the fact that I always had a turbo boosters in hand or starter engines in hand. Overall, if you guys don't know yet, Cliffjumper on this side, you mainly want to be on this side until he's the last character. But on this side, whenever one of your cards flip into their bot mode, you draw a card for free. It's a +1. So by turn 1, you would have 5 cards in hand if you're going first. What Prowl does is on this side, whenever you flip into this side, it gives all your other card characters bold 2, including himself. So let's say, for instance, he's on this side. I start engines. All of them get bold 2, and then I can flip him back on this side, and he still keeps the bold 2. On this side, honestly, that effect doesn't really come in clutch. This effect is whenever your other cards are KO'd this turn, repair 3 damage from one of your other characters. Usually. Wait, is it other characters? Yes, one of your other characters. Usually that effect doesn't really go off, but it did once throughout the tournament. They knocked out Red Alert, and Cliffjumper did have damage on him, so I healed him, I was like, wow, this effect actually goes off. But do not rely on his bot mode effect. Honestly, it rarely goes off. It's mainly just a beat stick. He has 5 attack, 10 health, 0 defense on this side. On car mode, he has 3 attack, 10 health, and 2 defense. Pretty simple. RC is one of the biggest MVPs because this card helped me take out Shockwave, helped me take out Galactic Optimus Prime. On this side, when you flip onto this side, you can heal 1 damage from each of your characters. Not a big deal. But on this side, this is the main side that you want to be on. On this side, her attack, no matter what, has pierce damage. All of it. So again, usually I would put a grenade launcher on her, or like, for example, I would put three focus fires, and a grenade launcher on her, making her have 5 attack and then bolt 6, attacking Shockwave. It helped me one-shot kill Shockwave, which was very surprising actually. Against Galactus Prime, it helped me take 2 attacks to kill Galactus Prime for RC. So usually, no matter what, I would always save Grenade Launcher for RC if I'm facing against Shockwave or Galactus Prime. Focus Fire again, it's just one of my tech cards. It's not that great of a card by itself, but with a second copy, it's bolt 3, and with a third copy, it's bolt 6. And last but not least, Cliff Jumper on his bot mode, he gets +1 attack for each card in your KO area. So in my KO area, I'm always flipping cards. Guys, if you are playing 4-white cards, remember to always flip your cards in the KO area. It does matter, especially if you're gonna attack with Cliff Jumper, if you want it to have 7 attack instead of 5. We're gonna start with upgrades first. Of course, the basic upgrade that you want to play in every orange deck. Basically, it's a staple. It's the only free double orange pip besides P2 Tyranny. Next, we have Grenade Launcher. Of course, you want to play 3 copies of it because Grenade Launcher is your one-shot kill equipment. Mainly, I say this for RC, especially if I face against Shockwave or Galactus Optimus Prime. Grenade Launcher with RC with a supercharge or 3 focus fires is just such a good turn. Overall, Grenade Launcher is honestly, in my opinion, I don't think this card should exist. Having +4 attack is just too good. Next, we're playing 3 Start Your Engines. I'm sorry, we had 3 Turbo Boosters. I do apologize. The main reason why I'm playing 3 Turbo Boosters is because in this deck, we do want to untap our characters as much as possible. A lot of builds are only playing 2 copies of it, or maybe even 1 copy of it. The reason why I'm playing 3 copies of Turbo Boosters is because I definitely do want to all out attack my opponent as much as I can. Every game that I play, I always want to have that all-out attack turn. So having turbo boosters, it just helps the consistency to always untap my character. Next, we have 3 Power Punch. This card is basically a downgraded version of Grenade Launcher, mainly for the fact that, you know, this build is not pure orange. We are playing a few blue cards and 1 non-pipless card. So Power Punch is a phenomenal card, but it's basically a downgraded Grenade Launcher. Next, we play 3 copies of Force Field. This card is my white pip card. Next, we have 3 Force Field. This card is basically a card that helps me prevent my opponent from one-shot killing my characters, mainly Red Alert and RC. Red Alert, just for the fact that he has 0 defense, so the Force Field does protect him, and RC has only 1 defense. So the Force Field does come in clutch, especially if I'm facing against Shockwave or Galactus Optimus Prime. So Force Field, I usually see 2 copies of it per game. One of them I use for either, like I said, either RC or Red Alert. The second one, depending, I'll probably put it on Cliff Jumper if I know that the game's gonna go into a long run. Next, we have 2 copies of Erratic Lightning. This card, I want to bump it up to 3, but I don't have the space. This card gives you 3+ attack and -1 defense. Usually, I'll put this on Red Alert, and at times, I actually would put it on RC because, again, RC, I do want her to one-shot kill one of my opponent's characters, mainly against Shockwave and Galactus Optimus Prime, because those 2 characters have pretty big defense and a lot of health. So RC definitely comes super clutch against those 2 decks. Overall, Erratic Lightning is a phenomenal card. It's another downgraded version of Grenade Launcher. Again, I would play 3 copies of it, but I just didn't have space. We played 2 copies of Bastion Shield. Of course, this card is so good, especially against any deck that relies on having armor. That whole weekend, I expected to face against only blue decks, but I faced against a couple orange decks. I'm sorry. Well, technically 2 pure orange decks and then a few orange and blue decks. Overall, Bastion Shield was great. I always had 1 copy in my hand throughout the whole game, and overall, you have to play 2 copies of it. I do slide in the 3rd one depending on what deck I go against. Now for actions, we play 3 copies of P2 Tyranny. This card, I honestly only activated once throughout the whole day at PAX Unplugged at the Energon event. I would honestly just use it on Red Alert or Prowl, mainly Prowl, but throughout that day, I used it on Prowl to get an extra turn. So I killed my own Prowl. Next turn, I activated I Still Function to bring back Prowl and then flip him to give either Cliff Jumper or Red Alert Bolt 2. Overall, P2 Tyranny, it's a great card. I mainly use it just for the fact that it's a double orange pip card that's free, and like I said, I only use it once throughout the whole tournament, giving me an extra turn. Next, we're playing 3 copies of Focus Fire. A lot of people have questioned me about this. A lot of people are asking, why are you playing Focus Fire? It's so bad. Technically, it's not the greatest action card, but this action card does give me Bold 1, and potentially I can get Bold 6 if I play all 3 copies in one turn. But the most important fact, the most important reason why I play this is because it's a green pip. Now, beforehand, I was playing 3 copies of Press the Advantage because Press the Advantage is a searchable +2 action card. So the main point of this deck is that I play a strong upgrade and a strong action per turn. Well, technically, it doesn't have to be a strong action per turn. As long as it's an action that helps me one shot my opponent's character. So again, just the fact that it's a green pip, Focus Fire was phenomenal, especially with RC. So multiple times against Shockwave or Galactic Optimus Prime, I would put Grenade Launcher on RC, and now I play 3 copies of Focus Fire on RC, allowing her to have 5 attack with Bold 6. So I had 8 flips plus 2 more because, of course, I always hit a white pip. I had 10 flips, and potentially I could one-shot killing my opponent's character. Mainly Shockwave. Optimus Prime, it took 2 attacks to kill it, of course, but it's 20 health. So Focus Fire, I understand if you guys are saying it's a bad card, but it actually became very useful for me because my hand, not all the time it was great. I would sometimes have dead cards in my hand that I can't even use. So just the fact that this card is a green pip, it fixes my hands. It allows me to play an action and upgrade every turn. Next, we have 3 copies of Supercharge. Don't really need to explain it, just the fact that it's a strong action card that gives you Bold 3. Next, we're playing 3 copies of Confidence. Of course, we're playing an all Autobot deck, so there's no reason why not to play Confidence, especially if I want to search out for my key cards. The main key cards that I always want to search out for is Starter Engines, I Still Function, Grenade Launcher, Supercharge, any strong action or upgrade card. I definitely want to search out for. And the fact that, of course, this is a 2-for-1 is not that bad because in this deck, I'm always drawing cards consistently. So Confidence with 4 white cards is insanely broken. And the only blue cards in this deck, we're playing 3 copies of Starter Engines. This card is so good. It sets up my board so much. It sets up so many all-out attacks. It's not even funny. This card is phenomenal, especially with Prowl, because usually I would attack with Prowl first, and then my second turn I would activate Starter Engines to flip Prowl back, giving all my cards Bold 2, and then I get to choose which card I'm going to flip and attack with. So overall, Starter Engines is a phenomenal card for cards. Next, we have 2 copies of Ramming Speed. The reason why I'm only playing 2 copies is because usually I already have the Bastion Shield. There's no really other equipments that I want to get rid of besides maybe Optimus Prime Ion Blaster. Usually I would side deck really hard against Galactic Optimus Prime. But overall, having 2 Ramming Speeds is pretty good, just the fact that I always see at least 1 copy of Ramming Speed per game. Next, we have 3 Heat of Battle. This card honestly didn't do that much against blue decks, but against orange decks, this card came in super clutch. It helped me throughout all of my all-out attacks, especially against Insecticons. Whenever I did my all-out attack, I played Heat of Battle, and my opponent looked at me. He was like, "Wow, you won," because I all-out attacked them with Cliff Jumper, RC, and maybe potentially, I think it was Red Alert. I all-out attacked them with 3 characters, activating a Heat of Battle, which was broken. Against blue decks, again, I usually do side it out because it does absolutely nothing unless I save this card for RC. Because this card will give RC Bold 3, and of course you guys already know RC has Pierce, so there's no reason why not to play Heat of Battle with RC. Next, we're playing 1 copy of I Still Function. Now, at the tournament, I was playing 2 copies of this card because this card is just so good. I don't understand how this card is not a star card. I Still Function helped me make so many finishing game turns by bringing back RC to knock out Shockwave. Against Shockwave and Galactic Optimus Prime, you always want to make sure RC doesn't get knocked out first, but you can't control it. Sometimes maybe Shockwave will have two of the Gamma Launchers plus a utility that gives it attack power, or Galactic Optimus Prime is attacking RC for 13 attack. Of course, that's going to one-shot kill RC. But overall, I Still Function. I was playing 2 copies of it because I always wanted to see at least one copy of it per game, which I did. Throughout all my games, I've always seen at least 1 copy of I Still Function in my hand. Again, I'm bumping it down to 1 because this deck has a really hard time against any deck that can attack with Bolt 2 consistently. So I only have one copy of I Still Function at the moment, but again, you could play 2 copies of it. I would definitely recommend it. But the last action card I'm playing is Rollout, mainly for the fact that it's an orange and blue pip. The blue pip is a big factor because I don't want my characters to be one-shotted by my opponent as easily as I was in round 9. So Rollouts, it's a tech card. I can definitely use it. Throughout my turns, flipping Prowl back into his card mode, giving all my other cards Blow 2, and RC giving everyone else healing 1 damage, which is great. But overall, again, if you don't like Rollout, you can definitely play 2 copies of I Still Function instead. It's just my preference at the moment because, like I said, I want to make sure that none of my characters get one-shot killed ever again. But of course, you can't control it. Now onto the side deck. I played 3 copies of Cornered. This card was so good against any deck that mained the Flame War and any Aerobot deck. Usually, my worst matchup, I'm terrified going against any Aerobot player. And I actually did face against Aerobots at the event, so Cornered came in super clutch. But against any deck that main Flame War, if I was having a tough time with the armor, doing any damage at all, mainly because of their Flame War, I would use Corner to flip Flame War back into the other mode, and then one-shot kill their Flame War right there. Next, this card honestly helped me so much against Galactic Prime. Disarm. What this card does is, when you play it, return all upgrades on a character to the owner's hand. So for instance, let's say Galactic Prime, he has at least 4 upgrades on him because you guys already know his effect. Whenever he attacks, and if he reveals a blue and orange, he can add one of those upgrades onto Galactic Prime. So Disarm actually helped out so much against Galactic Prime. Unfortunately, I only face against 1, which kind of sucks. But overall, this was a great card to side in. I recommend every deck to side this in, especially if you're afraid going up against Galactic Prime. Next, we have Squish 'em Like Bugs. Mainly use this against Aerobots and any other deck that relied on characters that are 5 stars or lower. All my characters are above 5 stars besides RC. So this card actually came in super clutch against Aerobots and Decepticons, and usually, if I face against any other deck that mains Sky Patrols or Rescue Patrols, this card will actually work. Next, we have Enforcement Batons. This card I did side in only once. Potentially, I might put 2 of them in my side deck. I'm not too sure yet. This card was mainly good against the Shockwave and Optimus Prime. Didn't really do so much against every other deck, but overall, it's a green and orange pip card that gives me +1 attack and potentially might take out my opponent's weapon. Next, we have the 3rd Bastion Shield, mainly for any deck that heavily mains armor cards. I was expecting to go up against any tank deck, but I didn't actually. So Bastion Shield, I did side it in for Aerobots, Shockwave. Didn't really side it in for Optimus Prime because I already sided in 3 copies of Disarm. And the last card is I Still Function. That's my new sided card. I was actually siding in a third ramming speed, but honestly, I just saw there was no point to it, just for the fact that I'm already siding in 3 Disarms, depending on what deck I'm facing against. It's just my preference. Overall, this deck was really fun. I had a great time playing it. I was potentially maybe going in with Shockwave, but to be honest, I just felt more comfortable playing 4 white cards. I've been playing this deck for a good couple months now, and so far I've been winning a lot of tournaments. I mainly have been having games where I've been 2-0ing my opponent. Again, my worst matchup is usually against another pure orange build, and when I say pure, I mean it doesn't have any blues, it doesn't have any pipless cards. It is just pure orange and white. Like nothing else. That was my biggest fear, and I actually faced against it in the last round at PAX Unplugged. Again, congrats to you, man. He actually got 2nd place. Honestly, that is phenomenal. I'm so happy for him. Overall, again, I'm happy with this build. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did indeed enjoy the video, please give it a thumbs up. Remember to subscribe to the channel for more videos, and we should have more deck profiles going up soon. We should have a deck profile of Springer, of Nemesis Prime, 2 White Prime, that Leo topped 14 with. And there's a Shockwave build that I want to go over, but this Shockwave build is different. It's actually a burn Shockwave build. So yeah. Alright guys, remember to comment, like, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Deuces.